What's up, guys? This is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, August 5th. Welcome to the Chasing Pelagic channel. We bring you this fishing report / forecast every Thursday, bringing you the latest, greatest information off the water. Heads up, we are pretty much sold out of our frequent flyer lure that's been going around by Mag Bay Lures. There's a limited supply in the tackle shop, so if you're looking for one, give them a shout. If you're going to stop by, I will have a small quantity available online sometime next week, and we'll give you a drop on Instagram for that and let you know when. But yeah, we ran through that way too quick. In almost a month, the entire inventory is already gone, sold. So we have some more being made, and they're on the way here shortly. But yeah, thanks for the support, guys. Really appreciate it. Had a great feedback on it so far. You guys are catching a lot of fish on them, so looking forward to seeing more of that action. I will be on the water this weekend on a 2.5-day trip on the Amigo with Jeff Jessup at a 22nd Street landing. So looking forward to that as well. All right, quick look at the weather here. We've gone from some weird spring conditions of wind over the last couple days. Not a couple days, more like a week. But basically since, was it Friday, Saturday, we started seeing that aggressive wind. Backed off a little bit. It's still got a lump out there. And it decided to blow a little bit more than it was forecasted to do so. So that's why I encourage you guys to always check your marine forecast conditions before you head out on the water. Things do change rapidly and quickly. And that's what we're working with. Quick look. This is a lookout to Wednesday next week. This bad boy appears to be spooling up and will be delivering some south or south-southeast 10 to 11 second waves coming your way if this thing holds together here. You can see Sunday, Monday rapidly intensifies into Wednesday, and then it looks like it's going to head more west. But this thing could spool up some activity wave-wise and fishing-ways. So keep that on the radar. We'll see how that pans out. But let's look at our local wind conditions. This is what we're working with right now. If you got some outer waters that are pretty nasty, they've been blowing more than we wanted to, obviously. Today, and pretty much small craft advisory, San Nick, Santa Barbara Islands, Channel Islands. Backside of Clemente was pretty nasty today. No one really wanted to go over there. So that's what we're working with. And then as we end of Friday, we slide back into a coastal eddy condition for a short period. It doesn't look too aggressive, but hopefully it's going to help us with those water temps a little bit, because that northwest wind really put a damper on our local water temps. And people are seeing it already. Into Sunday. Sunday looks beautiful. It's going to be a really nice day to spot fish on top of the water. Kind of hard to miss right now when they're foaming up so hard. But yeah, let's take a look at our marine forecast as our inshore report showing that current west wind swell 3 to 4 feet at 7 seconds. This thing is going to fade out. Looks like Friday afternoon it's going to slide down, and then you're probably going to get a little bit of wind chop from the south. Might still be a little messy on Friday inside with that eddy condition. Outside, you can see it's obviously a little bit worse. So heads up on that. All right, this is the aftermath of our latest wind that we had. Here's the temp chart, so you can kind of see the real picture of what's going on here. Our coastal water temps took a huge nosedive down into the 60s. It was low as like 58 in Dana Point Harbor last week. So yeah, pretty nasty. And what this has also done is, with this upwelling from the wind, is this turned this water even more green on the inside. And we're now seeing a little bit of red tide in Newport last night. Looks like we're going to have some up here near Alamitos. And down below by the rock pile, you can see some of this water is really nasty. But you can see the currents are working, as you see this little swirl right here. And the same one that you can see here on our 3-day temperature chart. There's some current if you haven't seen it before. So there you go. But this is what's going on, guys. And this made the fish move. Spreads out the bait a little bit. But basically, we got 70 to 72 degree water here, just below Catalina. A little bit spread out. Some cool spots. We have this little hot spot right here. that maybe might hang out, but the chlorophyll is kind of really telling the whole story here because it really greened up that water. So, like you saw yesterday, not that it happens very often, but you know, the 3/4 day boats like the Liberty went out and came back with a goose egg. So this is what happens when the water turns over green right after the wind. It doesn't really kind of matter where you go. If you're looking offshore, sometimes this stuff just gets too thick and the fish peace out and move on. So that great fishing that we had on the 9 Mile bank at 178, those fish have moved on, and that's what happens. That's how conditions change. So let's talk about the rest of the fishing. We'll start off with Catalina. Catalina had a little bit of a yellowtail bite going on today down here near the quarry. And at the same time, we've got bluefin mixed in at the island. We'll break down how to target those towards the end here. I'm just going to kind of give you locations of fish and what to do with them. But we've had some bluefin pop up along the front side of Catalina all week. They popped up today at the quarry. More of that smaller rate stuff, that 20 to 40 pound stuff. The smaller fish should be closer to the island. The bigger fish should be a little bit spread out in the deeper water, more towards the 100 fathom curve. So keep an eye on that. San Clemente, there's still yellows down here in Pyramid and up at the top of the dunes. Current conditions all got to come together for them to make that stuff work. The island looks a little bit active this weekend and this week, so make sure you check the schedule if you're going to head out there. And you still got that nasty wind out here, so not a whole lot of people have been fishing this. A couple guys poking around Pyramid on the front side early today, and we'll see how they did. But I'm not expecting nothing knockout at the moment. I think you give this thing a couple days. We'll see. We'll let it settle in a little bit. But that's that. Coronado Islands, not so great. Most signs of barracuda, and bass have moved on. The green water is kind of set in here. And I expect these conditions to last probably for another week or so. Yellowtail not really given the bite that we were seeing earlier last week. So kind of the San Diego scene has kind of shut down a lot. Further down south, we have been seeing kelp patty action, yellowtail, dorado, and a little bit of yellowfin. Closer to the Banda Bank, closer to the lower finger along this edge here. So be on the lookout for that. The San Diego boats are really going to have to make a choice. Either go south, 60 miles, fish down this far, or slide up north here and get after the tuna action. So today, only a couple boats went south, and they haven't been back yet, so they haven't reported. A couple guys are up here north looking. The good news is that the fish are kind of spread out here. They're not all lumped in, although the sport boats were on top of each other earlier this week. Seems like they've worked themselves out a little bit. But as far as inshore, there have been bluefin off the platforms. They've been a mile out of the harbor at Dana Point. They've been right here in front of Newport today as well. So they're willing to go into the green water pretty far, believe it or not. They've been at the 14. They've been below and around the 267, 279. And they've been down as far as the 312 and all the way up to the 152. And then obviously I mentioned those fish that were right here in front of Avalon. I would not be surprised if you saw them around the 289, kind of following this green curve we got here. And I wouldn't be surprised if they popped up over here again in front of San Clemente. Now, as far as how they are biting, this all very, very much depends on what type of boat you're on. If you are on a sport boat, your activities are going to be a little bit limited, especially with the amount of traffic that's probably going to be out there this weekend. And when it comes to private boats, you guys are going to be more of the run and gun, cast jigs and defoamers. You can see a lot of that. Most of these fish have been appearing in the afternoon hours. Slack tides, there was some activity this morning on the slack tide as well. They got a little bit of action, but definitely more of an afternoon sundowner bite. The sport boat guys, they are biting in the dark again, even the big ones. And for that, quick little tip, we made these leaders for your jigs. Instead of having to crimp on little 2-foot or 1-foot leaders to all of your jigs and have a big mess inside your tackle box and have them constantly get messed up, I made these quick little leaders that you can clip on. You use split ring pliers for the front, and then at the other end you can use a snap swivel or tie it on, and they're rigged with 400-pound leader. and chafing tube, the whole 9 yards. So they are rigged and ready to go. So if you just want to change the jig, you can just open up the split ring with a pair of pliers, slide a new jig in, and you're ready to go. No mess in your tackle box or any of that. So you can carry a whole bunch of jigs, change up the colors if one's not working. Last time they bit at night, that candy cane red white stripe was working pretty solid. So that's probably gonna be the first jig I tie on this weekend. Now, as far as the daytime action, we have fish in these areas anywhere between 20 and 200 pounds. So you kind of got to gauge by your sonar or what the captain's telling you or what you're seeing on top by what you're going to toss at them. If you have a foamer school up top and you are on a spur boat and you can't reach them with a cast, I would be throwing at least at bare minimum a 60-pound rig if you got good sized fish up there. Most of these models are between 40 and 80 pounds, seems like, so try and use at least a 60. If you got bigger ones, nothing less than 80. Now, if you're on a private boat, these fish are spread out, so try not to stay on top of each other. Spread yourselves out and use a kite. If you get a chance to get away from people, use a kite or flying fish lure, such as the Magbay Frequent Flyer, where you can fish a flying fish, or a dead one, or a lure on the kite, and then you could float one on the other side of the boat up into the wind. More baits, more bites, and these fish have been willing to bite that Frequent Flyer as small as 80 pounds so far. So despite it being a 14-inch size lure, they're still being able to fold that thing up with the wings and all into their mouth, and that's why we made it the way that we did. So that's how that's going on. The rest of the stuff is going to be on fly line. And if you got fish up on top and you're parked and they're not biting 40, I mean, you might have to slide all the way down to 20. That's what ended up happening my last trip to get them to go. And then once they had the 20, they bit it, no problem. So you have to be patient with these things. If you're going to cast and dash on them, they're being shy even if you idle up to them. So do what you can to try figure out which direction they're going. These things, when they're up, they're staying up for a long time if nobody's bothering them. So take your time, try and get in front of them, shut it down, and let them come to you. If you can get that to happen, you got a really good chance of hooking a whole bunch of them. Otherwise, you get real frustrated driving over the top of them like everybody else and being pretty miserable. So there's that also. Also, if you are going to drive at a school, do not drive directly at them. You want to point your boat towards the edge of the foamer, either the left side or the right side. And that way, when you slide in, you're going to give your anglers on the front of the boat a chance to cast at them at more of an angle. If they're casting head on, they're not going to have a whole lot of time to reel up the slack in the line depending on the speed that you're coasting in at. So try and give them a little bit of an angle so they can reel up their jig and give it the action that they want to give it. And hopefully they'll get a little bit more of a bite. Now, there is still random kelp patty, yellowtail, and dorado being caught in this area. And not a huge quantity. But it is there, and it is starting to show up. The yellowfin, there's still some around, but this has not turned into the typical late summer season where we get, those 20-pound football yellowfin. They just bite anything. That has not been happening. So we'll see how it goes. As far as trolling, there has been a couple bites trolling for bluefin, which is, irregular, I would say for sure. I mean, it's not a never. But it's unlikely that they usually bite on the troll, just for the most part. But I would be trolling a larger cedar plug, like an 8-inch one, or either a diving Rapala that looks like a mackerel, or like one of those Nomad DMX minnows, something like that. Those should work pretty well. So, like I said, if you're on a boat, you want to keep those lines wet and put the time in on the rail. And fish as much as you can while you can, and hopefully get some good results. So that's it for this week, guys. Enjoy yourselves. Make sure you check us out over on Instagram, where we keep our product updates as well. And have a great week out there on the water. Cheers. If you like what you saw today, you can subscribe to our channel or follow us along on Instagram and Facebook. And always remember, share the stoke.